On this day we remember. We remember your calling. We remember your courage. We remember your sacrifice. We remember your life. We remember what it cost you to pledge your allegiance to your country. Because of you, we can walk in liberty. Because of you, we can sleep in peace. Because of you, the flag is still there. Because of you, this is the land of the free. Because of you, this is the home of the brave. To the families and friends of the heroes we've lost, we salute you.
Hey, what's up everyone? Pastor Tom here. So excited that you're with us for another Sunday Night Live this weekend. And before we get into anything, and we keep going with our series Stronger, I just wanted to slow down and not only say thank you, but remember the lives of the men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice so that you and I could have the freedoms that we get to have. I know that the last few weeks, the last few months have been a bummer, and they haven't gone our way. As we were talking about last weekend, when life doesn't make sense, God can still be trusted. In this season, there's not a whole lot about life that makes sense, but here's the one thing that does make sense. You and I are blessed every single day when we have the privilege to wake up. As I'm sitting here at home on my back deck, my family's healthy. I was able to wake up today, and there are more blessings already with the start of this day than a lot of other people can say. And we have these blessings because of people that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. John 15:13, as you just read, greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. There are men and women that you and I will never meet who have laid down their life so that we could have what we have. And so before we complain about our situation, before we focus on problems and inconveniences and struggles and stresses, let's remember that not just on Memorial Day weekend, but every day, every week, we have way more to be thankful for. And if we just slow down and remember those things, I think it'll put life into perspective. But here's the thing. We do understand that real life does happen. And we're going to talk about what happens when life goes wrong. Who can we lean on? Who can we trust? Who can be there for us? And so I got a 1-minute video for you to kind of introduce where we're going today. Check it out, and then we'll jump into the rest of the weekend. Here we go.
We've been talking about what we can do when we face challenges, losses, and failures. But today, I don't want to talk about our personal hurt and pain. I'd rather talk about what we can do when others are hurting. Jesus' followers were captured, imprisoned, tortured, and even killed. What's crazy is that the Apostle Paul wrote a letter to encourage them. The first thing he said was this. He said, rejoice. What? Can you believe that? What do you mean rejoice in the midst of hardship? We'll talk about that next week. The second thing he said was this, love each other and take care of one another. You see, we all will go through some impossible moments in our life. But when we do, I hope you'll remember this. When life goes wrong, we have each other.
All right, so we're in this series Stronger. And as you just saw, the big idea for this weekend is when life goes wrong, God has given us each other. I think you and I can think of so many people in our lives that we don't know what we would do without them. Whether it's friends or family members or people that are just always there to encourage you and support you. They're the people that you text all the time, you call all the time when you're going through some of the toughest situations you've ever dealt with or have dealt with, that they've been there the most to support you, encourage you, influence you. So many people in our lives. And we have to really slow down and remember that there are going to be many times, many situations that go wrong in life. But where we've been so blessed and where we can keep looking forward and getting stronger is that God has given us each other. And I think a lot of times when it comes to problems and situations that go wrong in our life, it's really easy to just focus on the people that are closest to us. But I'm sure that there's even people watching this today or will watch this who maybe you've been hurt pretty badly by those that are closest to you. Maybe you're going through some unique situations right now where you don't feel too close to anybody in your life. Well, what it says here in the big idea for today is that God has given us each other. It doesn't say that God has given us a best friend. God hasn't given us a family, which all of those are important and all of those are great. But God has given us each other, and that could necessarily be people in your life that you've least expected. That could be a complete stranger. That could be somebody that you haven't even met yet. The bottom line is there are people out there that can be there to support you and encourage you with this thing called life, especially in the seasons where everything just feels like they're going wrong. Romans 5:2-5 talks about some of the struggles and talks about things in life that go wrong and how we can adapt to it, how we can respond to it. So I want to read it with you guys really quick. And then we'll go from there, okay? Romans 5 says this in verse 2. Because of our faith, Christ has brought us into a place of undeserved privilege where we now stand. If you woke up today, I'm telling you what, we don't even deserve the day that we have. As we've already celebrated and slowed down and said thank you to the men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we can have the life that we have. If you woke up today, if you're watching this right now, we don't even deserve the life that we've been given today. But how blessed are we, even with a life maybe full of problems, or even with a life full of things that are going wrong. You got to get up today. And because of that, we confidently and joyfully look forward to sharing God's glory. Listen, it's not easy, and we're going to talk about this next week, but we can be thankful for even in the seasons where everything just seems to be going wrong. It says that we can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance. You might have just heard what I said and go, what are you talking about? And again, we're going to talk about it more next week, but everything that goes wrong in life is the opportunity to build up your faith and build up endurance that maybe you never had, that can help you push forward and become stronger and get through anything that this life's going to throw at you. And then it continues on to say, and endurance develops this, okay? Here's why we go through problems, and then it can help us build endurance. That endurance then develops strength of character, and character strengthens our confident hope of salvation. You see, when you and I are going through problems in life, it really does build us up, and it really does force us to focus and depend on things outside of our control. And one of those things is our dependence on God, our salvation, our hope, our rock. Because then what it says is this, at the end of this verse, it says, and this hope will not lead to disappointment. You see, when you do focus on God, when you do focus on that endurance, when you do focus on the strength that comes through the problems that happen in your life, it's never going to lead to disappointment. For we know how dearly God loves us. God's got you, and he wants to help you get through anything in life. And so that is a hope that you and I can hold on to. And because he has given us the Holy Spirit to fill our hearts with love, we're capable of getting through anything in our life. Romans 5:2-5. I encourage you to read that back, and maybe it'll encourage you a little bit. But I want to watch a video really quick that's going to put into perspective today's big idea, okay? Because I get it. Nobody wants to go through problems in life. You may even have heard what we just said about endurance and getting through things, and you may just be over it. You don't want to go through another problem. You don't want to have anything else go wrong in your life. I mean, you're just at the point where you're ready to tap out and give up. But this whole promise and this whole focus of how we have each other is what really separates us from breaking down and breaking through. Because life is going to go wrong. And there may have been things, so many different things that have already gone wrong in your life in the past. There may be things that are going wrong in your life right now, and I can promise you this, there will certainly be many more things to come that will go wrong in your life in the future. But we do have each other, and we have people in our lives that are going to be there for us to pick us up. And as we already mentioned, friends and family, that's a no-brainer. And I hope that you do have those people that are around you that can pick you up when life does go wrong. But sometimes people come out of nowhere when you least expect it. Sometimes people come out of nowhere that you don't even know or that you're not even connected to. But the really cool part about this thing called life is the one thing that we have to remember and keep into perspective is there are so many people around us every single day that God has placed in our life for a reason. And so check this video out, because here is a really cool story of when a situation went really wrong for somebody and how cool it was to see what happened when people came around this person and how much it impacted their life and how much it helped them get through something that went wrong. Check it out.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is gonna be a home run. Unbelievable!
A swing and a belt. Left field, way back. Touch them all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Alongside such unforgettable home runs, the setting for this one was a bit different. In a small town in the middle of Washington State, on a field inside a chain-linked fence, in a game fewer than 100 people saw. A home run memorable not for the distance it traveled, or the game it decided, but for the meaning it carried. The last Saturday in April, the second game of a softball doubleheader between Central Washington and Western Oregon.
Well, we were both neck and neck fighting for the conference championship.
As a senior, this was Sarah Tucholsky's last chance to win a championship. She'd never hit a home run before, not in college, not in her life.
At 5'2", I'm not very tall. I'm more a line drive hitter. I don't hit for power.
But in the top of the second inning, with 2 runners on the second pitch, that changed.
I hit that pitch and it just went.
And we're just cheering, and the runners are cheering as they round the base to head home. And then I'm going, where's Sarah?
In her excitement, Tucholsky failed to touch first base, so she quickly turned back.
Her pivoting just didn't pivot with her. And I heard her kind of yell, and she just dropped to the ground, and I was like, oh no.
Just fell immediately and was in a lot of pain. Just, I tried to keep my legs straight, but I was in so much pain that I couldn't really keep still.
Tucholsky, with a torn ACL, crawled back to first base. She was a long way from reaching home plate and keeping her first and only home run.
When she got back to first base, she laid there and she hugged on to first base. And then at that time, I was staring at the base and I go, what on earth are we gonna do?
And I turned the umpire standing right next to me. I said, what is the ruling if I put somebody in for Sarah? He said, it'll be a 2-run single.
If anybody would have, on her team, would have helped Sarah, she would have been called out.
That was the problem. None of Tucholsky's teammates were allowed to touch her. That's when Central Washington's Mallory Holtman, a player with more home runs than any other in conference history, a player for the opposing team, spoke up.
I went to the home plate umpire and asked if we could pick her up and carry her, and he looked at me a little strange.
And the umpire went and said, yes, you can do that. I'm still standing there in shock. I said, thank you so much.
We asked her, is it okay if we pick you up and carry you around the bases? And I say yes, and and say thank you. And she says, you hit the ball over the fence, you deserve it.
For that reason only, because she deserved it, Holtman and Wallace began to carry the injured Tucholsky, stopping to touch her left foot on each base as the three made their way around the diamond.
We actually started laughing because we were just wondering what this would look like to all the people in the stands.
When I looked up, I didn't see, giant smiles and screams. I saw emotion and tears and people crying.
It's a great moment when someone has character to step up and do the right thing at the right time.
It's emotional. You're proud to be associated with those kids.
That's the first home run of the season for number 8, Sarah Tucholsky.
The fact is, I made my goal. I hit a home run, and yeah, it's my last at-bat of my career, but I, made my goal, so I'm proud of myself.
Mallory Holtman, Liz Wallace, and the Central Washington team lost the game that day, 4-2. Sarah Tucholsky lost the rest of her season and her career to a knee injury. But for the spirit of sportsmanship, a greater victory, made on a long trot around the bases, a trip that truly touched them all.
I have a lot of respect for her and put her in high regards, her and her teammates. And, I can't thank her enough.
That right there is what we're talking about today when we say that when life goes wrong, God has given us each other. I hope, and my prayer is that you do have friends, you do have family members, you do have people in your lives that can be there for you in the seasons of life that go wrong. However, that shows you what we just watched, how no matter what, God is always going to put people in our lives to be there for us when life goes wrong. Even people that we least expect. They may come out of nowhere. As we said, they may be complete strangers. But the one thing that you and I have to hold on to, this truth is that we do have people in our lives. Whether they're already in our life or whether we haven't met them yet, or whether the right situation hasn't come up yet. But the one thing that we have to put into perspective in order for us to be stronger every single day is that there are people in our life that can build us up. And how we have to treat people and how we have to look at people is a big deal as well. And so before we finish up tonight, is Sunday Night Live is just meant to be simple. It's meant to give you some truth. It's meant to give you some verses, to be practical, and then you do something with it this week. Well, I got a couple verses for you that will really help you do something with this week's challenge and this week's focus. And the first verse I got for you is Romans 12, 9 through 10. It's actually two verses. Romans 12, 9 through 10 talks about how we are to treat people and how we are to focus on people. And it says this: don't just pretend to love others. Really love them. You see, we're talking a lot today about how God has given us each other when life goes wrong in our own lives. But don't forget to flip the script sometimes. You may be somebody's biggest answer to the problem that they're going through, which is why it's so important for you and I to love people as well, and not just pretend and not just to be fake, but to really love them. It then says this: hate what is wrong, hold tightly to what is good. Listen, we don't have enough time in the day. We don't have enough time to be messing around in life, to be worrying about hating on people, disliking people, focusing on problems, unforgiveness. I'm telling you what, if you're holding on to something, I challenge you to just let it go. Hate what is wrong and hold tightly to what is good. Because when life's going to go wrong, because it is going to go wrong at times, we need each other. And then it says this: love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. in order for us to be stronger, let us never forget there are people there for us, but there are people that we need to be there for. And maybe we need to get a hold of our own lives, and maybe we need to get a hold of our own thoughts and our own hearts, and really slow down to build up our love and our appreciation and our care and our support for other people. And then in 1 John, how we finish off tonight, 1 John 3:18 says this: "Dear children, let's not merely say that we love each other, let us show truth by our actions." In that video you just watched a couple of minutes ago, you saw what action looks like to really love and support and come along somebody's side. Who can you do that for this week? I know, I get it. You may be going through something right now where you need people. And I hope that if you know that here at Granite United and at Granite YTH, you have people there for you, have leaders there for you if you need anything. But maybe there are people in your life that need you right now. There may be people in your life this week that need you. And let's show that by our actions. Right now, as we've said over and over again, we're in a season right now where, as we said last week, it just doesn't make sense. And there are a lot of things going wrong. But we've got each other, and we've got people in our lives that can be there for us. And we've got people in our lives that we need to be there for. And so I hope that this challenges you this week. I hope this motivates you and encourages you and reminds you that there are people in this world that are there to help pick us up. And there are people in this world that need our help to pick them up. But at the end of the day, we've always got God. We've always got our faith. We can hold strong to that. And so we're praying for you. If you need anything this week, let us know. And we'll catch you back here again next week, our last week of Stronger at Sunday Night Live. Have a good one. Peace out.